How's it going, Johnny? Good to see you, my friend. Let's see here. All right. Let's see. Where's this? Okay. All right. Pocket. Yeah. Good morning. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Anybody who's watching. If you are new to the channel and to me, if you don't know, my name is Tim. I go by FoamyGuy on GitHub and Discord. And on the stream, I typically work on CircuitPython stuff. I stream about this time every week. We're a few minutes early this week. I usually start around 10 a.m. My time, so it's about 8 minutes until that. So a couple minutes early this week, but I usually stream right around this time each week on Saturdays, working on CircuitPython stuff. Housekeeping note, though, next Saturday, I will not be streaming in this slot. Next Saturday, I'll be gone doing some other stuff during the time that I would normally be streaming. So no stream for me next week, but, other than the rare occasion, I do typically stream at this time, 10 a.m. Saturdays, just not next week. And I'll be back the week following. And I'll most likely pop up at some point, either on Saturday or later in the day. Either on Sunday or later in the day on Saturday, but I don't know exactly when. It'll kind of depend on how the day goes and stuff like that. So if you want to keep an eye out for that, you can follow me, and I'll put a note in the chat when I'm getting started, even though it won't be the normal time. But that's a lot of stuff. Let me get back to the main topic. If you are new to this program, or if you're catching this video in the future and you haven't seen my streams before, typically I'm working on stuff related to CircuitPython. If you don't know what CircuitPython is, you can find out more at the main website here, circuitpython.org. This is basically a version of Python or an implementation of Python that runs on tiny computers called microcontrollers. When your microcontroller is running CircuitPython, it will typically connect to your computer with a USB cable and show up like a thumb drive. You can then edit some code files on that thumb drive. And when you save the main Python code file on that thumb drive, it will actually reload the microcontroller, which will then cause it to reread the code file and interpret it and execute it. So you can write Python code, store it on this little device like a thumb drive, and then it will execute the Python code for you. And then the code itself can kind of interact with all sorts of other electronic peripherals that are connected. Lots of these microcontroller devices come with I/O pins, input-output pins that allow you to hook up whatever you want. Some of them come with other more purpose-built connectors, like this connects to RGB matrix panels. This one uses alligator clips instead of like breadboard pins or something like that. This one has got a built-in screen with a touch overlay, and it's got some kind of stemma. I don't think stemma is the right word for them, but I'm not certain. It's got some connectors on the side over there for hooking up to some of the I/O pins. So these things come in all different shapes and sizes, and the common theme that ties them all together on this stream is that they all, 503 of them, support CircuitPython, which is, broadly speaking, what I will typically be working on during these streams. Sometimes, we work on different aspects of the project. Sometimes we are down inside the core. Sometimes, more typically, we will be in the Python layer, either inside libraries or project code. And then other times, like today, we're also working on some kind of ancillary or infrastructure type stuff that is a related utility that is not CircuitPython itself, but is a tool that's made for being used with CircuitPython devices. As always, huge thanks to Adafruit. This is their website, adafruit.com. Happy Pride Month kicking off here, June 1st. Their website, adafruit.com, they are a hardware and software company based out of New York. I'm fascinated by these little lock things. Sorry, I'll try not to get on too far of a tangent. They're a hardware and software company based out of New York, and they're the ones making CircuitPython possible by paying the team of folks who work on CircuitPython. There is a team of folks who work on the project full-time that are paid by Adafruit. There are also folks like me who are paid to work on the project part-time, again, by Adafruit. So obviously, huge thanks to them for doing that. And then if you want to help support the project, one of the easiest ways you can do that is just head over to adafruit.com and purchase hardware from them, because when you buy hardware from them, that's helping keep their business going, helping keep the lights on, helping keep everything running in their business, in their company, and that is then allowing them to keep funding CircuitPython by paying the developers who are working on it. This thing's pretty cool too. This is one of the first things I really messed with. It would have been Arduino at the time, not CircuitPython at all, but it was one of the first things I used that got me more interested in microcontrollers, I would say. Mine was on a Raspberry Pi though. Yeah, it was on a Raspberry Pi instead of the Uno form factor. Although I did later, many years later, I did end up getting an Uno form factor, putting it together and playing around with it similarly. These things are kind of nice. These, like, is it 16 by 2 or whatever? Yeah, 16 by 2. These are kind of cool. You can, especially this one's got the different backlight colors, which is nice. You can get a lot. It feels, when you just look at it on the surface, it feels restrictive. 16 by 2, that's only 32 characters, 2 lines. It's hardly anything compared to like a modern monitor. But if you're careful with how you present your data, you can actually get kind of a lot done. You got lots of buttons as well for user interfaces and stuff. It's a neat little, just sort of generic gadget interface, basically. You can make it do all kinds of different things, output all kinds of different things. Anyway, that's a bit of a tangent. These locks have got my eye as well. I think I've got, actually, the Adafruit Fairy coming today with a couple of things that I purchased recently, including one of these lock ones, although I don't think it was the circle lock one. I think I got I think it was just a regular, like, wafer key or whatever. Yeah, this one. These are interesting to me, though. Yeah, there you go. You can see the order there. The old Adafruit Fairy's coming today with that. Working on Home Assistant integration in Python. Nice. I'll not be here at the time either. We'll be driving youngsters to the prom in my Mustang. Nice. That'll be fun. Cool. All right. So thanks as always to Adafruit. Thanks to anybody who purchases hardware from them. These things are interesting to me. I don't have a clear idea of what I would use it for, but just locks in general, locks, lock picking, electronic lockout mechanisms, all these kinds of things are just always been kind of fascinating to me. Where we are actually diving in today, though, is onto Circup. For anybody that doesn't know Circup, this is a command line utility, which, again, is used alongside CircuitPython. It's used to help you install, manage, and update the libraries on your CircuitPython device. It can do a couple of other things as well. It can load up examples, for instance, which is some newer functionality that we added. It can, it's kind of like just an ability to manage your libraries with the command line. So if you are familiar with pip or like npm or something like that from the JavaScript world, any kind of command line, even apt on Linux, if you're familiar with this kind of command line, package manager, Circup is basically the same concept, but the packages are libraries on your CircuitPython devices. We probably need to bump this. I would assume that we don't actually support Python 3.5. But the things that we're looking at today, first is going to be the open PR for going to pyproject.toml, which I took a look at a bit before, and we talked a bit about during the weeds during the meeting on Tuesday, actually. It was on Tuesday this week. You did a video on the stubs package and loading. Was that using Circup to achieve this? It was not. So the stubs are a bit different. The stubs actually do get installed with pip. Because when you install the stubs, you are installing them on your PC, your computer, whatever computer you're running Python on. Circup, when it's installing libraries, it's installing those libraries on the microcontroller, whatever CircuitPython device is connected to that computer. and they each kind of serve different purposes. So Circup, when it's loading libraries, it's loading those libraries so that the CircuitPython microcontroller, presumably whatever code is in CodePy, can make use of those libraries to do whatever it wants. For instance, if you want to draw on a display, then you need to get, maybe a display driver library, for instance, or a text label library, for instance, if you want to write text on the display. Whereas the stubs, like with pip, when you're installing the stubs, or even when you're installing those same libraries that Circup can install, but when you're installing them with pip instead of Circup, you're actually installing those on your PC. And typically the reason you're going to be doing that is so that in your IDE, which I don't have open up yet, let's open that, so that in your IDE, it will be aware of those libraries. It will be able to give you context, information about those libraries. What functions do they have? What arguments are they expecting? Potentially even what types of things do they return and expect and all this sort of stuff. So those are not... You don't need to install those stubs or those libraries on your PC in order for your CircuitPython device to work, but it does make your IDE a little bit more helpful typically. And it will depend on your specific IDE and how you have it configured and all kinds of stuff, but broadly speaking, that's the kind of intent for installing those stubs and as well libraries on the PC with pip. Yeah, good question, by the way. And I will say too, just like Scott, I'm all ears for questions. Anybody who's got questions, throw them in the chat. I'm happy to talk, discuss, explain stuff I'm working on, or even just stuff I know about. If I don't know about it, I'll tell you I don't know about it, and that's cool. I could try to point you in the best direction that I can, but anything I do know about, I'm typically pretty happy to explain or talk about. This does not the installation of a lib to the PC and the MCU cause a bit of a fight? It does not really cause a fight, no. I can see why it would seem like it could, but in reality, it doesn't end up really causing a fight because the code that's running on the microcontroller, inside CircuitPython on that device, it's contained in that device. It's not really aware of the larger PC at all or anything installed on the PC. It's connected via serial if you connected it with TO, or if you're using Mu or something like that connects automatically. But and it's also connected as a thumb drive, but beyond those connections of serial and thumb drive, it's not really it's not aware of the Python that's on the PC. It's not aware of the libraries that are on the PC. So anything that's in the PC won't really bother it. Now, where you could get into a potential problem is if, let's say, you installed a different library on the PC from the one that's on your CircuitPython device, like maybe they share a name or something, but it's actually a different library, then your IDE could be telling you information that's not accurate about the library that's on your device. Or maybe even instead of sharing a name, you could just say an older version or a newer version or something like that. If you had different versions on the PC versus the device, they won't fight in that it won't make your device not work necessarily, but it will make your IDE potentially tell you things that aren't true about the library that is on your device if it's a different version. But if you did keep them in sync, or if you weren't using something that was specifically different with those two different versions, then it shouldn't really matter, I don't think. So this PR, hug report to SJev for putting this in. Got the old Bender icon here, which is a classic. This is switching Circup over to pyproject.toml instead of setup.py, which is kind of like the new way for, I guess, kind of having a manifest or like an information file about your project. In particular, I believe it's used, possibly by more than just this, but definitely one thing it's used for is by pip. When you want to deploy your thing to pip, so, like if we go over to PyPy and we spell PyPy correctly, and then we search up Circup. Nice. There's loads of information about it, right? There's, a title, a current version, the name of the library. There's information about who is the owner of it, the release history, where is the home page at, in our case, GitHub, all kinds of information that PyPy has about this, library. And my understanding is, I guess that was just one of these locks, right? I don't really need it, do I? Oh, no, it was actually Circup. Okay. My understanding is lots of that information is like metadata that comes from setup.py, in the old way to do things, or pyproject.toml in the new way to do things. So this is like declaring your project in a structured way that PyPy recognizes and understands, and, it will grab all this information out of here, populate it into the PyPy system, and do whatever it needs to do to make it so that people can actually install that library using pip. And the reason why this is good to change, this PR is changing us from the old way to the new way, because the old way is the old way, and I believe at some point will be deprecated. Maybe even currently, I don't know. Let's see, is CircuitPy deprecated? packaging.python.org, that seems pretty official. Setup tools, the library, the module, setup tools is perfectly usable. And setup.py is a valid configuration file for setup tools that happens to be written in Python instead of TOML. However, Python setup.py and the use of setup.py as a command line tool. Oh, okay, that's actually, it's saying, so it's actually saying the use of it as like running setup.py. So like you're not supposed to do this kind of thing anymore. But it's not actually necessarily saying, at least in this one part right here, which is the only part I've read so far, it's not actually saying that it's usage as a like manifest, which is basically what we're doing, a configuration file for setup tools. But either way, it's good, even if it's not specifically deprecated yet. pyproject.toml is the new way. From what I understand, it's the best practices way. And importantly, it's the way that the vast majority of the CircuitPython libraries work. Let me catch up on the chat as well. So it's nice to have it match the libraries. That way the maintenance and everything is all kind of the same, roughly. Is there a documentation page on Adafruit for installing the stubs and telling your project the right board as you stood in the video? Yeah, I have to keep the video bookmarked to reference for install setups. Yeah, there is. I'll give you a link here. It is a little bit deep, I will say. It's kind of tucked in there. It's in the welcome to CircuitPython guide. It's on the advanced. Drop down this one, and then it's PyCharm and CircuitPython. We probably should make a separate one, honestly. We probably should make a separate one. Yeah. The truth is, we should probably make a separate one, because this is like, I don't know if you're actually using PyCharm or not. Even if you're not, though, some of the stuff on this page is going to be relevant to you, which is right here. Install CircuitPython stubs. This is showing, I guess, the PyCharm window. You could do these commands with pip. Yeah, if you're not using, okay, I was misremembering a little bit. It does have the set board stuff as well, though, which will be, this part is not specific to PyCharm at all. The only thing really that is specific is like this GUI window, right? If you're not using PyCharm, you won't have this GUI window. But you should be able to just do pip install anything that this guide is saying to do in that window. Yeah, Visual Studio Code will have something similar. I don't know the exact way it looks in there. Yeah, it should totally be pretty similar in terms of like a GUI that lets you install libraries and stuff. And then this one, that's the terminal command that you run in order to set your board-specific stubs, which is the newer feature within stubs to actually make it so that board.py, or I should say just the board module, will have actually relevant information. So we're going to look through this, and then we're also going to try installing it with pip locally. So I think this part's not true anymore. That was one of the things. This originally had a dev container. It had like a Docker container setup thing in it in the PR. But we talked about that a bit on the meeting. We decided we don't necessarily want to check that in just yet. But this person did show interest in writing a guide for it, which I think would be really cool. That, I think, is probably the first, like, a really good first step in terms of getting this kind of thing adopted into the actual repos, is like if this person writes a guide for it, a playground page or even just in GitHub or wherever, and shares it, and then other folks within the community see that and start learning what it is and how it's useful when you're working on CircuitPython libraries. And then we get somebody, active in the community who's interested in doing that and keeping it maintained and stuff. And then that's kind of like how that, I think, can happen. So that's really cool if, that they're interested in doing that. But yeah, there is no more inf, so we are actually going to change that. I'm going to check out this branch. I'll need to get the remote as well because I'm going to need to push that change. Right now, I don't have it, so we need to get that. sgev git add remote. Nope, that's wrong. Git remote. Yeah, git remote add sgev. This one. Okay. Fetch, git fetch. I don't know if that part's necessary. I think it is, though. Otherwise, it won't list the stuff here, right? We could do maybe GHPR probably, but I'm also just going to do this. Looks like they only had one branch or whatever. Switch to setup.py. There we go. Check that out. Then where's that file? That was in the README. Oh, interesting. This was in the README already? I don't know what this does. I don't recall seeing this before. Oh, wait, are we in the README? Hold on, where are we at here? We're in contributing. Interesting. I don't know what this does. I mean, it's, I guess, self-documenting to an extent, but it's interesting. Oh, well, it says when developing. That probably should be updated as well, I assume. Okay. So we might need to change that. This person mentioned that not working. So we might need to change the docs there to say, like, I think it should, like, pip install optional requirements should work, I think. I wonder, does the E matter? So should it matter? E is just like keep it up to date or whatever. It's synced. How's it going, Bear? Nice to see you, my friend. Coffee cheers. A virtual environment is fine. I don't know. I guess we don't need to necessarily erase that part. We could, I think it's maybe good to specify, like, if you want to. Maybe like you can, or optionally. If you want to use the dev container, I think it's less optional. I think you probably need to do that, but I actually don't really know that much of anything about the dev containers. All right, we got a couple extra spaces as well, 33, 34. Wonder if those are intentional? So we'll try to find a new one of these that works. We should get rid of this 47, 48 because that's not there anymore. If this person does end up making a guide or whatever, though, we could totally come back and put a note in here that links to that guide, I think, like outside the repository. The container itself is outside the repository, but we could link to it here and put some, like, here's what this is or whatever. We don't necessarily, can this get smaller? Do we, well, is it? Yeah, I guess that should be fine. Isn't E only if you're looking to local coder to install? So my understanding of E is that it will keep it in sync. So if you use the -E flag, pip install -E, space dot or dot slash or whatever, it will install that code directory, probably via symlink or something. I never looked at how it actually works, but it will install that code directory, and it will like watch for changes basically. So like if you change your code after you do that, the one that's installed will get the new code as soon as you save. So like the next time you run it, you'll be running the new version of the library. So it cuts out a step if you are iterating in development. So you don't have to like change the library, install the library, run the test script or whatever. Instead, you can just change the library, run the test script because you installed with -E. Symlink to the lib, nice. You should still install the optional items. Yeah, totally. We will need to have, I think what we'll need to do is use a different command other than pip install.dev, this thing. I'll try this thing, but the person who made the PR was saying that's not working. So what it will probably be is like pip install. Well, is this the requirements? Yeah, this is a weird syntax to me. I mean, if this is the requirements, then I don't think it should be -E, right? The requirements are libraries that you should get from pip, and they're not in this local repo. They're not going to change with the source code. So the requirements, I think, should be pip install -r requirements.txt, and then there's also an optional requirements.txt. And then I don't think you would want a -E because those are coming from pip. They're not local code. Then to install this library, Circup, and do development on it, then you could do pip install -E dot without the dev. And then that would install Circup and link it so that when you make changes, you get the changes. So we do still want to tell them how to do that, but I think it will be a different way than it says today. I asked today because via C there was an extension. I've heard of that extension. Yep, did stubs, board lib management, serial. It's not been maintained, has some issues. Yeah. TypeScript is how it's written. Gonna take a big learning curve. We can add an alternative method to deal with stubs. Yeah, I've seen folks talk about that one. There's been a couple of folks who have showed interest in trying to update that, I think. But I don't have any other insight into it. TypeScript is like, I've done a little bit with TypeScript, but not very much. But TypeScript's mostly JavaScript, and I've done a lot more JavaScript. So you have to keep running pip, to refresh. But even if you're using that, you should still install the optional items. Agreed. Or I guess I would say like the requirements should just not be with the -E. Yeah. Yep, totally. Yeah, well, and these I think this is specifically contributing. So this is also specifically the dev requirements, which I think are in the file called optional requirements. Although I'll have to look and see what is actually the difference in there. So, real requirements, apters, click, find imports, requests, invert, toml, update, checker. Okay, yeah. So yeah. This is like high test. This is definitely only if you're doing development, and specifically if you run the tests, which you might have to do if you need to get it to pass. The actions will fail if it doesn't pass. Surprised that's an X. That's kind of weird that one's an X there. So that's just because this file, when it was changed, it was a commit that didn't pass, but then later the rest of the repo changed and started passing. All right, setup tools 61. Did this have to declare setup tools version in the old one? I do like that we are. Well, I guess those are greater than equals. Okay, those are actually like minimums. It does look like Python 3.7. Oh. Okay. I mean, that makes me think that we don't support 3.6 like that other thing said. Okay, so before we had this extra require, which has basically those same things we saw, except also a few other things. Pylint coverage black. I'm pretty sure pre-commit installs those though, so I think they're not necessary here. Sphinx. Wheel entwine. Oh, okay, that's probably where that dev thing happens. Interesting. Oh, that's doing docs requirements too, I guess. Okay, so we would do pip install optional requirements, regular. I mean, for contributing, I think we assumed they've already done regular requirements. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe we just add it anyway. So we do regular requirements, optional requirements, and I do think there is actually a docs requirements too. If you're doing full, and it, oh, I was wrong actually. Yeah, I was wrong. Okay, interesting. I mean, you need Sphinx, I guess, but it's just listed some other way. Extras require docs package. Maybe it was looking inside a conf? I don't know. I guess it's just that pip doesn't actually install Sphinx for you, right? Maybe that's it. Which makes sense, right? I don't think if you're just using Circup to use it, then I think you shouldn't need Sphinx because you're not building the docs. Dynamic equals version? This is kind of a weird one, isn't it? Let's also compare to one of the libraries, which would have gotten created with Cookie Cutter, which would have the new stuff. Do we have dynamic in here? Oh, I saw it. Dependencies. It's dynamic. Maybe that's just a user declared thing? What does that mean? I get a lot of tabs here. Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. So version is the only thing in here that's dynamic. On the other one, like, I just closed on my closing spree, I guess. This had a couple, but it's actually weird. I wonder why version is not there, because we do dynamically put in the version. You can see here it's even 00 anyway, so it's definitely going to get placed. So this so it says dynamic version, then it doesn't have to include that auto thing. Interesting. It's a little scrunched. This thing collapse? No. Yes, man. Let me catch up on the channels. When I hear Sphinx, it reminds me of MediaWiki, the older search engine before they switched. Is it the same as Sphinx? I'm not sure. I've not heard of MediaWiki, I don't think. So the main thing I'm looking for side to side here is like, is this the same? You know, I assume there was a description. Yeah, there we go. I know some basics like this, authors, we definitely don't want any of that stuff to be changing. Whoops. I don't know why that popped the thing up, but okay. License is from the license file. This one did say MIT directly. It is nice, though, to have it in the file, right? We definitely do have the file, though. I mean, we really should, right? I'm assuming we do. Since is, actually, it says. No license, interesting. I wonder if that's going to work. That's exactly what we need to do. That part, I'm not so sure about. Oof. Well, that's a year ago, I guess. So under project, they have license file equals licenses main. Then under tools, setup tools, they have license files, licenses star.txt. This I like. I don't really necessarily want the manifest in file. This has got 5 upvotes in the check. Of course, it was by the same person. It's the only, well, this answer's deleted. It's the only answer that wasn't deleted. So surely we need to be doing this, right? Because this makes it look like it's going to point to a file that's literally called license, which does not exist and was not added, so would be null or something, I assume. It's different from Sphinx from what I can remember. You'd have worldwide wiki under media. Maybe one is the one you write for your project, but the tool one is in various licenses from the tools. It could be. I guess what I'm getting at, though, is like I think the way it's written here won't work, basically. Because I think it won't. Doesn't seem like it will be able to find it since it's not called that. Unless it's got some built-in logic where it knows to, like, add an S and find all the files inside there. But that seems like a bit of a stretch. So that is in project, and then we have tools, setup tools, dynamic, tools, setup tools, package. We don't have any just tool setup tools. They put it above as well. I wonder, hopefully these are not relevant. So, I mean, what's the main license? Is there a main license? IT. Works for me. I'm not sure exactly how that's linked or whatever, but maybe it's like a repository setting or something. Oh, there is a license. I'm just blind. Yeah. What did that? Where was I just looking? It's totally. Yeah. All right. Well, fair enough. So, but we would need. Do we still need the other ones, or maybe not? Because I mean, that's the one for the repo. I don't know. Yeah. I think we'll just leave it how it is. I don't actually know for certain if we would need the other part. I don't want to add it if it's not needed, and we can always change it after the fact as well. So we can come back and add it. How's it going, Tithe? Nice to see you, my friend. It's used by the new dist utils to load the contents of the license file into the variable. That is used. Which is the file? The license file, or? Or you mean the ones that would be declared in here that could have, like, multiple ones here? Probably what you mean, actually. No. Well, that says license file. Okay. I don't know. I see. In the one that's file. Oh, okay. That's just loading. Okay. I see what you're saying. That will take whatever text is in there, put it into that variable, which in our case is in a dictionary. So we'll put it into that variable of a dictionary with a thing that says file. Or I don't know, it might turn it into a string, I guess. It probably turns it into a string. I would be curious if we do actually still support 3.6, and if we do, I'd be curious if we really want to, because I think it's like not. That's like I think it's supported anymore. Yeah, and in fact, even 3.8 is actually listed as the lowest active one. So we might actually consider dropping 3.6 and maybe even 3.7. And then I guess if we need to add them, we could add 3, 10, 11, and 12 if it works under 12. Okay. I think this is looking pretty good to me. They're talking through a couple of those things, talking myself through a couple of those things. All right, let's try that. See, I've never used that before. I guess I'm not entirely sure like what we're expecting. Like what is that expected to do? Didn't really get much of an answer there, I guess. Click through, but I'm not sure. So this person linked to... This is talking about the... Not talking about that, seemingly. Yeah. 07, maybe too, or at least it's not listed as downloads anymore, or active on the downloads, I mean. Kitty Neon. Based on 310 Python base. That's the, have been the Adafruit Fairy. I don't really know. We get the, and they just link to requirements. But I don't know if that's talking about... Same thing, really. Optional dependencies is listed as beta. Pip install square brackets. Okay. So, I mean, this makes it seem like we could make one of these called dev. But can we still do the file thing, though? Because we also want it to come from requirements file. So we just have tools, setup tools, dynamic. And it says dependencies, file requirements, optional dependencies, optional equals, file optional requirements. But that is under dynamic. Could we put it under project.optional dependencies? And then give it a name like dev equals? And then still give it a file thing like this, I wonder? Okay, I'm gonna run to the restroom. I'm also going to go grab the package from the Adafruit Fairy. So it will take me a minute, but I will be back shortly. BRB. Okay. How's it going, Dexter? Nice to see you, my friend. Okay. Should we, I think probably we should start by just installing it as is and see how it goes. We already have it installed, so let's uninstall it. We are inside other VM, which is right there. So then if we go pip install just like -e dot, would be the normal way I would install it for development. So our version did not come out, whereas in the old one, our version probably wasn't correct necessarily, but did at least make an attempt. How do the other libraries behave? Well, let me go here, actually. I have a lot of tabs open now. So this has a PyProject TOML. It's not installed. Okay, that actually behaves the same. Okay, well, fair enough then. It'd be nice if that could have a number, I think, like the old way did, but It doesn't have the auto, which is interesting. But I guess that's because we have the auto hard-coded in the other library, right? So this is HTTP server, but logging, which I just looked at, yeah, just it has this in there. But it is also different because it doesn't have version under dynamic. It is interesting. It has dynamic equals version, but it doesn't have anything about it in the dynamic section. Maybe that's not as interesting as it seems. My brain, but all right. So pip install -e.dev. Just only does Circup. And it says Circup does not provide the extra dev. What if we were, though, to make one of these? Be with the rest of these, I think, right? And then make a dev equals, and then make a file. Just copy this. I mean, that feels to me like it should work based on the couple of things we've seen, but it did something different though. Invalid optional dependencies, dev, okay. Must be an array. End of output. All right. I mean, if we just slap it in the old square brackets there, is that gonna be enough? All right, maybe we're not allowed to put file there. Dev0 must be a string. Yeah, it does not like the file thing. Yeah. Dang. What if we search this and then requirements text? Optional dependencies, pip requirements file. Yeah. All right, well, if we just search this, can we get the docs on this, like, section or whatever? Can I do a file though? File in there. I'd love to do a file in there. It's not looking like it. Well, yep. I think that's not going to work. Or I don't know how to make it work. This is my best guess for how to make it work. That doesn't work. I don't think the person said they tried changing this to dev, which kind of implies that maybe optional would work. I don't really think that's going to work, but we can try it. Yeah. Well, maybe we got to get rid of the broken one, I guess. Okay, let's get rid of this one. Let me copy paste in case mess up the spelling. Yeah, not provided. So that doesn't do anything. Okay, yeah, it seems like the square brackety dev thing doesn't work. Or again, I guess I could say is I don't know how to make it work. And so then I think what we do is we're just going to go back in here. We're just going to make it pip install -r. Because honestly, in my opinion, pip install -r is better anyway because it points you to the file that you're about to install stuff from, which gives you a breadcrumb to go and look at what you're about to install, which is like a thing that should be encouraged, I think. Whereas this, like, you have to know, like, I didn't even know what this did. You know, now I have since learned, I guess, but just reading the command, like, I didn't know where to look for what that was going to install. I guess you could look at the output, but, like, when you're looking at the output of the stuff you installed, it's a little late for trying to know what you're installing. Decide if you want to install it. So I think here we just go... install. We're gonna say this: install the development requirements, which is gonna be. I mean, it's really testing requirements more than anything, but we'll call it that because it said dev here anyway. We don't need -e. We can have -r and then just optional requirements.text, and that I think is gonna do the exact same thing that the other one would have, but also like points you literally to a file that I'm surprised all that stuff is installed already. I guess maybe I did it. Can you do an uninstall? Is that a thing that can happen, or? Yeah. Whoop, too many. Yeah, I think that's what we put there, and in my opinion, again, I like that's better in my eyes because it's like self-documenting, points you to a breadcrumb where you can find the list of those things without any other extra knowledge. Okay. What did we end up with version-wise? So if does this tell me like 0? Because that would not be ideal. Ooh, yeah. See, that's, but maybe, yeah, that would be good to. We probably want that to not be like that. But it's but they're not going to be installing from dot. I have a feeling that might get fixed when it's done through actual PyPy. Also helps those folks who use other tools like pipenv. Nice. I'm not as familiar with pipenv. Can guess from the name, I guess, what it does a bit, but is that enough of a problem to try and fix? I mean, yeah, it'd be really nice if we could have the version. Like, my instinct is that because version dynamic We should probably look at what this does more closely. My instinct is that because that says dynamic, it's gonna like get it when it gets installed via like from actual PyPy rather than from the local file. But the old one used to do it in CircuitPy. It used to get a version, like it was just incrementing the last one, so there's not necessarily a guarantee that it was going to be the correct version or the version that you would pick based on your semantic versioning. But that's my guess as to what that's going to do. But can we make that happen when you do it this way too? Because it would be really nice. Yeah, I mean, this seems like it should be able to be made to work, right? Oh, we don't have that. We don't have that. So this says dynamic version, and this says dynamic, but it does not have version. It has dependencies, optional dependencies. This says when these fields are... Wait, let me read the whole thing. Currently, the following fields can be listed as dynamic, blah, 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 including version. When these fields are expected to be provided by setup tools, a corresponding entry is required in the tool setup tools dynamic table. For example, dynamic version, they use readme as well. We don't have that. But then in here, they have version equals. In the dynamic table, the adder directive will read an attribute from the given module, while file will read the contents of the file. Do we have... I don't think... So the problem is, I don't think there is a version checked in to the repo anywhere. Because right now... I don't know how the version works right now, but right now the version somehow... It's not like in the repo anywhere. But how does it get in there? Because, like... So... if I install this from PyPy... it gets a version. And it knows its version. So how did that happen? Does this have a different thing in here? Hmm. I mean, my only real guess is then somewhere inside a build. Oh, these are just links to here. Maybe there's actually more in here. Version. Oh, that's Python version. Doesn't have anything else about version. Does actually have this here though. This is what's doing it, right? This is replacing it, isn't it? Sed. Does sed let you replace text in a file? Man, why there's no like description? What? How are you even supposed to know what this does? Okay, we're supposed to use man apparently. Stream editor. Yeah, totally. Totally. Okay. This is what's doing it. This is replacing I mean, this is a hypothesis. I'm saying it as though it's definitely a fact, but like it's still a hypothesis, I suppose, in my head. But I think this is replacing this with this, which is a template variable that's getting populated to the actual release.tag name. And that's what gets uploaded to PyPy. So as long as we do the same thing here, then I guess it should work, but I don't think we are. Are we? Yeah. So currently we're not, because this is not using, what was it called? Workflows CircuitPython. Yeah, it's not using that. Which is probably for the better, because this is also going to try to build it as a library, maybe, I think. I don't know for sure. Maybe. I don't know. I presume that this would need to change, probably. Does need PyPy. I mean, we do need PyPy, but we don't need... We're not going to have setup Py, so... Yeah. So this is one of the things that Paige said was deprecated, right? Yep. Okay. So I think right now the feedback here is we need to figure out the version stuff. We need to figure out the uploading to PyPy stuff before we could merge this. Because as it is right now, our workflow is not going to work, I don't think. And if it does work, it's not going to have the right version. I wonder, how does the version work in the setup Pi one? How does version happen in here? What is that? Is there something simple like that for Pi Project Tom? Well, that'd be pretty sweet. This doesn't really tell me about that thing. That seems relevant, potentially. All right. I don't think I'm going to try to fix all of this right now, because the truth is I don't know for a fact what the right solution is, but I think we will need something. So I'm actually going to link a bunch of this stuff. Recommended usage. I don't know what SCM means. Okay. Still don't know what SCM means, but okay, I guess. Yeah. Do we have that? No. Does it matter where? I mean, we did -E, I guess. I mean, I don't know, though. I mean, that we can work with. I mean, it seems fine. Seems pretty close. I mean, so that says 190 currently there. So I'm guessing the thing is that most likely, whoa. I'm guessing that this branch came from before 19, right? Yeah, I mean, this was started, the last commit that was not from this author of the PR was from 430, which is prior to May 12th. So So when they created their branch, they created the branch from 1.8, which in turn, okay, so this might be the solution we need. It is a solution that looks like it does pretty much what we want. I don't know if it is the solution or the best solution. Also, I've been ignoring the chat. My apologies. Let me catch up here. Also helps, yeah, pip and viv. I feel the 00 is a good indicator that you're using the local dev copy, not the installed one from PyPy. Yeah, it is nice to see that. I will say that part's true. Setline is brute force updating. Yeah, and if we can get away from that, if we can rely on just configure this thing to say, please use the version automatically instead of like, here's a Linux dark magic line that substitutes in the version, then I'm definitely in favor of that. Man said, thank you. I appreciate you trying to help me out there. Said is old school command line. Exec said is doing the version number install. You can't, as the version number is not known. It comes from GitHub package, SCM Source Control Manager. Thank you. SCM Source Control Manager. It's good to know. So that's basically saying like that setup tools -scm, that's like the glue between setup tools and getting your version number out of like Git, or if you were using Subversion or something else maybe too. Okay. I think this is close, but we'll need a bit more work for the version and PyPy deployment actions. Currently, when you install from this branch, it installs as version 0.0.0. But when you installed from, let's say, like a currently released branch, it will fill in a version closer to the real one, but perhaps not exact. It tries to increment and find the next version. Okay. One possible solution for this seems to be adding that 4? No, that's only 3. Yeah, it's only into PyProject toml. Where was that? Where was the page that said it was required? It was dynamic metadata. Where's the page that documented that? Shoot. It was this. Dynamic. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I can link to this. Dynamic metadata. So, and then this says, yeah, this, I'll copy this excerpt as well. I have so many tabs. This is out of control. I have no idea which one the review is in. Okay. Boy, I wish that would just like go over without me going. Awesome. Nice. Okay. The documentation here. mentions, I guess there's quote, right? I don't know if you need a new line or not. Mentions about dynamic. Dynamic. Reading setup tools, latest usage. Oh, copy link. There's a copy link. Nice. Good job, Discord. That's 2 wins for Discord in like the last week. Discord on mobile changed their interface recently so that your direct messages would be in the top left, which is where they are on Discord desktop, and also where they are on Discord web. So you would think it would make sense for them to be there on mobile, but they weren't. They were at the bottom for some reason, side of a weird tab. But with one of the new versions, they're now at the top. Good job, Discord. Also, there used to not be... Oh, wait, did I not do the... Copy message link. Okay, no. Okay, I'm giving them prop. The second one they don't deserve props for. The second one they don't get. My bad on the second one. So the thing what I was going to say on the second one, this is web, right? This is a web browser, right? It displays HTML. That's like its job. And in HTML, when you right click on a link, there's supposed to be a copy link, right? Like, look, this is HTML, copy link. But Discord, in all of their wisdom, decided that there shouldn't be a copy link when you view Discord on the web because that would be too uniform with the entire rest of the web experience. Interestingly, when you're on Discord app, there is a copy link. So I saw the copy link and I thought they had actually made it so that it was working on the browser. Anyway, thank you for indulging my rants about Discord interface design. Props for moving the discussions to the top left, though. I give them thumbs up on that. Now, if we can get with the copy link inside the browser, then we're like 2 thumbs up. We're going to be in really good shape if we can make it that far, but who knows. Should I commit this contributing bit? I think I am going to do that. I'm going to undo the changes inside PyProject TOML, which are just adding that thing at the end, I think. Yeah. I'm going to undo that, and then I am actually just going to commit my changes to contributing into this branch, which were very minor, basically removing the section about the dev container, changing the wording slightly on the requirements, and fixing the install command. So maybe we just say change. All right, sgev, that is going to commit into this branch. Oh, we're back at the end, though. All right. Also, before I went on the rant, you were sharing this link with me, which does look helpful. Let me pull this up. Usage here says about having a SCM extra there as well. Then project config. Configuring, which this is the same page we were on, I think, right? Yep, totally. Nice. Link those two. So, but the problem with the reason why, okay, yeah, see, the reason why the library uses sed is because we needed to deploy it to a second place, right? With Circup, we're only deploying to one place. Well, that's not true. We're deploying to two places, actually, in both cases. But in the case of the library, we're actually deploying to a third place, kind of. So with Circup, when we deploy, we're deploying to two places. One is PyPy. One is the GitHub release page. And those are the only two places we're deploying. So one question actually is going to be, though, with pyproject.toml using this SCM thing, is the copy that gets put on the release page going to get the version inserted correctly or not? I don't know. We'll need to check on that. But the next thing is about the libraries. The libraries with this weird sed thing, I bet you they need this because of the bundle? But that maybe does not actually make as much sense because we were inside of GH release or whatever. All right, I got to run to the restroom again as well. Be back in a minute. Looks like I closed the tab, unfortunately. BRB. Okay. It's like workflow. That was in release. So maybe that's wrong though, right? That sed thing is not actually in here. Oh, it is too though. Okay. This is in build. And it does a build and then it does a twine check. Oh, that's interesting. That one's hard-coded. Okay, so build makes a build, substitutes a version, but it's actually hard-coded. Release GH. Does not have the sed thing. Huh. Versions. Oh, that's printing versions out. 0.0.0.0? No? Interesting. Maybe GitHub does that automatically? When you download it from GitHub, do you get, like from the release page specifically, do you get a version? Like if I downloaded this, will it have a version inside of it? It has a version in the file name. It does. I wonder how that got there. Maybe that's automatic. I don't know how that worked. But I'm wondering, so because the thing is, there's one more thing, right? On a library, on a CircuitPython library, we get deployed here on the release page, we get deployed to PyPy. We also end up in the bundle. And the one that ends up in the bundle needs to get the version also. And my instinct is that the one that ends up in the bundle probably can't rely on the PyPy, well, like the setup tools, whatever the thing that's making that magic work, where when we added the 1 bit at the end here, it made it get the version. Like that seems specific to PyPy or that kind of thing, right? It's not going to do that for the bundle build, I don't think. So we might still need that said bit in the libraries, in the CircuitPython libraries, which is separate from Circup since it's like meant to go on the microcontroller and all that. With Circup though, this definitely just adding that thing seems like the best way to go as far as I can tell from where I'm sitting right here right now. Build probably generates a tarball and has said update it. So it does, but it did the 1, 2, 3. Of course, build. So build, I think this build does not end up getting uploaded. I think this one just gets built in the container and then thrown away eventually. But these release ones like here should be doing the actual build that gets uploaded ultimately. Okay, but it must be doing it in here. Build bundles. When that goes through and does each one, that must be doing it. Or the other option maybe is it's a feature of this. I could see that as well. Probably one of those two things. It's either defined behavior inside there or this thing does it because it's a common usage for uploading the release page or something. Okay. So I think maybe I'm just going to leave this part out. It's not actually relevant as much in hindsight. I think, at least, because the bundle, I think, comes in on that side. All right, another thing I think worth considering at this time is what minimum version of Python we want to continue supporting. Right now, this is listing 3.6, but that is EOL, no longer maintained version of Python. So I lean towards us dropping support for it in Circup as well. Trying to get input on this during the next meeting. All right, and then one more thing I think we want to link to is the way that the current workflows files are, not, I don't think they're going to work, or maybe they will work kind of by accident, but I think this section about CircuitPy, I mean, there's a bunch, there's like this one, there's a bunch, you can't do multiple lines, I guess. And even this one down here, so this one down here, we definitely don't want to be doing anymore, I don't think, right? Because that was mentioned as deprecated. All right, so let's link. I guess let's just link directly to this one, and then we'll mention the other ones too. All right. It's a little bit bigger, I think. How do you want to say that? So workflows files seem to still be making references to setup.py. In a few spots, I'm wondering if those might cause trouble without further changes, because looks like they are checking for the existence of setup.py. Control some of the actions tasks. So maybe we'll be fine even if those don't run, but even if that's the case, I think we should remove them. But more likely, I think, is we probably need to change them, because there's probably, we need something to happen, but we need to do it in a different situation now, because setup.py won't exist. So the other thing we want to say then is about the deprecation. The workflows also still use Python setup.py sdist here, which is noted as deprecated here. I think we'll want to find the non-deprecated new way to do that. And update workflows file. I made this too big and I can't get to the button. Oh, and also the resizer is gone, so I can't resize it anymore. Nice touch. Oh, because I'm on preview, duh. With 3.6 being deprecated and some of its build tools getting yeeted, build chain tooling will need to be tweaked into different PR or MIO. Yeah, that could be a separate one too. I don't know what all goes along with it. If it's literally just a matter of deleting those two lines and adding a 10 and 11 and maybe a 12 or whatever, then I'm relatively fine with doing it in this PR, since we also have the file right there. If you change those three lines and then everything else breaks, nothing works, and requires a bunch of other fixing, then a separate PR would totally be nicer than doing it here for sure. All right. The other thing that took a little longer than I had anticipated, but that's good because we got way down into that. I learned a lot about PyProject.toml, Learned a lot about the versioning stuff. It's a lot of stuff I didn't used to know, and now I do, so that's really cool. Presupposes that none of the build tools themselves are written. That's true, yeah. Yeah, that could be. I mean, I don't think it's actually being built under 3.6 in the actions, because I don't think the actions support that environment anymore either. So I'm pretty sure the stuff should work under a newer Python. The building should work. But it should totally be tested. I think I'm about to just close all of these. But there's no like close all others or something. Oh, there it is. Okay, it's right there. So the next thing I want to look at, I don't think we're going to make it very far. I'm curious to start tinkering a tiny bit. Bluetooth, there's a Bluetooth file transfer API. There's a Bluetooth workflow that includes file management and serial. Just like there's a web workflow that includes file management and serial. The USB workflow that includes file management and serial. Circup, what we've been working on lately in Circup is the web workflow support, and then even more recently I've been starting the wwshell, which is a CLI file management utility that uses the web workflow specifically, although the ww in wwshell actually stands for wireless workflow, so that it can encompass the web workflow like it does today, as well as the BLE workflow like it does not today. But I think I would like to start trying to see if we can make it do that. And from what I understand, this is a BLE library that works in CPython. I have no experience with this. I don't believe that I have ever used it personally. Should I make another new environment? I think we're just gonna put, I'm just gonna put Bleak into this environment. That should be fine. It's already other VM, so if I wreck it, I don't really feel that bad about it. I'm sure there's probably a regular VM. Yeah, always fall back to that. I don't think I'll break it. Doesn't matter if I do though, like I said. Okay. All right, I have never done anything with Bleak. I am gonna no, I'm not gonna put it in there just yet. I was gonna say I'm just gonna piggyback on one of the commands, like the version command or something. I mean, I guess we could. But is there really any benefit in it right now? I don't think so. So I will keep it in Circup, but I'm just gonna make BLE test. We will not add it. I will start with this. That should print the devices. no idea if this is gonna work. BLE. I am using BLE for my headphones right now. I don't know if that's like, is that gonna interrupt this or no module named logging handlers. I think that's probably just a messed up version of. So the last time I was working on that, the thing I was working on was a rotating log file handler. So guessing, and then a little while ago I installed it to see how it would work. What? Is we need to install that? There's logging here. Does that matter? Okay. Okay. Just move it out of that directory. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see. We should, yeah, we should probably change this to be called Circup logging. That's another thing though. Okay, so the only thing that it found, so it says discover, the only thing that it found are my headphones, which is good because my headphones are like on and doing their thing. So in order to use BLE workflow, you need to restart it when it's blinking blue. Oh, also I have no, it's very likely the version of CircuitPython on this is quite old. Actually not connected. There's your problem right there. It's not actually plugged in because the button is turned off on the button thing on the hub. 731. Maybe we should just do a little upsy-daisies right there, I think. This is a feather sense. We'll go stable. And then I believe you need to click reset when it's blue. Yeah. Let's make sure. Yeah, so I'm not going to get very far into this. I will be wrapping it up here pretty quick. But ultimately, I would love to support this with not only the wwshell, the wireless workflow shell, but also even Circup. It'd be nice. And the key about that is those two things are tied together anyway with the backends. So adding support to one of them effectively is going to make it so that it supports both. There will be a little bit of extra work, like supporting just wwshell will be less work, less code than supporting Circup also. But ultimately, it can do both. So I don't know what's going on. The tiny light is still blinking. The NeoPixel is red. But this thing seems to have finished pasting. Then nothing else happened. So Ah, shoot. Ah, I know what the problem is. I really don't want to check with it right now. Oh, man. Need to update the bootloader because there was something where it's not big enough or something. I don't really know the details. The old NRFs have a bootloader that doesn't work with the new firmwares. All right, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, we have 2 more to try, but I don't really want to do the bootloader right now, honestly. I don't remember the process. I don't want to get sucked into a... Ooh, that is very bright. I don't want to get sucked too far down. Rabbit hole with only 10 minutes. Why not switch to S3? Because I don't want to work on a thing that was merged yesterday. I want to have some level of like being relatively sure that it's going to work and it's going to behave how it's documented here. And I don't have that confidence on a thing that was merged literally yesterday. Whereas NRF 52840, I know for a fact that they definitely 100% in the past, they for sure supported this because I've seen it work with Glider on the phones and some other stuff. I'm not anti-bleeding edge. Honestly, the vast majority of the time I do work on the bleeding edge. But the thing is that I've never used this before. I've never developed for this before. I've never interacted with it other than a tiny bit just doing like the basic glider thing I think I followed one day on a test phone. But I've never actually done anything under the hood. So until I have a little bit better grounding in how it's supposed to behave, I want to use one that's like known supported. This is wrong. $825. I don't know if that's new enough. But I will say on that topic, that's definitely what got my brain into this, wanting to do this and wanting to do it now, is seeing Scott work on that stuff. And I definitely do think, like, ultimately that's 100% a thing that I want to do, is being able to do that on the ESPs. Although I do question if it will be faster. I kind of assume that the web workflow will be faster, in which case, if you're on an S3, I mean, where my mind goes is like, why use Bluetooth over web workflow if it is actually slower? But I don't know for a fact that it will be. So, right, yeah, the extra variables is definitely it. Working great so far. Nice. Okay, so you've been doing it on the S3. Have you done file transfer and stuff too? Okay, here we go. Wow, that is so bright. I need to not... I get baited. It blinks and it draws my attention, and then it blinks like 10 more times at full brightness with blue. It's like the brightest color. All right. Okay. So I grabbed another device. This is a Playground Bluefruit. I already did the thing on this one to make the bootloader new, so it can get the latest version. We can trudge on without worrying about that just yet. So I need to do that on my FeatherSense. So to connect this, you need to press the reset button while the status. So those are the blinks that almost blinded me a second ago. I should get sunglasses for working on these things, man. Okay, press it while they're blinking blue, but after the safe mode, and then it will start and it will broadcast the file transfer service, which is UUID feb, along with the creation ID. That's done at a lower transmit level. All right, so then I'm taking that to mean if we press reset while it's blue, and then we run this script, hopefully maybe we're going to see this thing in the list. All right, there's blue. I press again. I don't know. It reset again, so I guess maybe. I didn't mean to close that. Hopefully we're not on a timed thing here, because if so, I might have just screwed the pooch, but this does take kind of a while. It's interesting. I guess there's probably just a set timeout now. It just still says the same one. So is there... Can you do this? There's Bluetooth here, but not available. Okay. Chromium. Not in a Chromium-based browser. Let me try one real fast. It's not going to work. Huh? Oh. I mean, I'm pretty sure Chrome... Oh. Doesn't let you do that. It's probably good they don't let you link to those, honestly. Okay, but this probably is gonna... Yeah. And I don't really want to relaunch it. So I have like a bunch of windows open with all the chats and everything. I don't really know if it's gonna bring them all back. So I think we're basically at a dead end here as well. I would like... So the thing about that would be nice about being able to test this, and I can once I restart Chrome, but like I don't want to do that during the stream. The thing that will be nice about... No, launch a new profile. How does that work? Oh, like we could just do a different one? No account, maybe? Oh my gosh, I don't care. Just... oh my gosh. Empty? Empty. Wow, that's very green. The whole thing just stays green. That's weird. I didn't know that could happen. It still doesn't show. Oh. Honestly... Well... First of all, I didn't really read this part, which I probably should have, but I definitely am a little bit sketched out by just keeping it enabled. So I'll probably go back and disable it, but I'm betting I'm above version 100. Yeah. Boy, you would think it... Oh my gosh. Get out of my face. Go away. Oh my gosh. It won't go away. Just delete everything and it's never gonna go away. That is weird. What did they do? Can't click. And now this whole browser is broken because I can't click out of this, and I deleted all the stuff from it, which includes the button to get out of it. And F5 and Control F5 don't do anything. Nice. I can't even close it. All right. Well, that's a. I feel like that's on me. I feel like that's a. Get what you deserve for messing around with deleting crap on the page. Okay. Yeah. The thing is, I would need this. Not the other one. But I also want to go back to this one and turn it back off, since that's talking about being shady. I don't really want that. It's not going to take effect until I relaunch anyway. The safer flag. Nice. Definitely like safer. Default. Which one is default? That's like a useless choice. All right, we'll put that. That should make it so next time I can try that. I'm curious to try it. I'm gonna try another couple of reboots, but then I'll probably call it a day for now. Because it's also possible I just did the reboot wrong. So it says push reset, but that's gonna make it reset again, right? Link's blue. Press, and it doesn't say double press, just press 1. Press the reset button while status LED blinks blue quickly after the safe mode blinks. The board will restart and it will broadcast the file transfer service. So the blue, so I think it's working because the blue stays on longer. And I'm guessing that's an indication that it's working from the device's side, at least. See, because if I do a regular, when I do a regular reset press, when I just press the reset button once, the blue blinks are really, really fast. They're rapidly. I'm guessing like maybe 1/10 of a second or something. They're really fast. But when you press the reset button again, while the blue blinks are happening, when it comes back up, the blue doesn't blink. It stays on for like almost a full second, probably. It's probably not quite a full second. It's probably like half a second or 3/4. But it stays on. It doesn't blink. I'm assuming that's an indication that it worked, but we are still not seeing it here. So it does mention low power. I have no idea how low power. I honestly have no idea where the Bluetooth antenna on my thing is at. I guess I could try putting it closer. Let's see, 1 second. Okay, there's 2 antennas on the back of my computer. I have no idea if either of those are Bluetooth or not, but I put it next to those. And I guess it should still be in that mode. I mean, unless it turns itself off eventually. Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay, maybe we can eventually figure out the sweet spot of where to put it so that it, so that I can use it, but not have to get up and walk around the desk. Okay, and then I will say, unfortunately, which I mean, we could PR this when it's all said and done, I suppose. But the thing is, like, there's no information about the API here. There's a link to a different library, which is definitely a library. Okay, there is documentation here. I didn't read enough. Okay. I almost would like this stuff to be included back there, right? Like, why does web workflow get to be included here, but BLE doesn't, I wonder? It'd be nice to have it all on this page. Okay, but I don't know anything else about this. So there is this example, which is connect and read its model number. And it says it's doing that by what? It has an address, for one thing. It creates a client with the address. So we are not using a client at all. We're only using a scanner in the other one. It creates a client, then it goes client read get char. That is taking those 4 digits of hex, I guess. That would be analogous to maybe... No, I bet you that's actually analogous to these things. Yeah, I'm guessing that's what those are. I don't have a lot of experience with BLE. So it says that's going to try to read that, and then it's going to print whatever it got. So like the most practical one of these that we can do first for testing would be maybe read a file or maybe list a directory. or is there a like version slash file like disk info? Because the web workflow has a disk info thing that tells you how much space is left. Free space. I don't know what that means. I don't think that means about the amount of space on the drive, though. I don't think that's what that's talking about, which is what I'm thinking of. Because web workflow, it has like disk info or something, I think. Well, it has devices for one thing. Yeah, it has disk info right here. So you send a GET request there and you get back a JSON with like, how big is the drive, how much is used, how much is free, yada yada. Does not appear to be a similar thing, as far as I can tell for this. All right. Well, we found it in the discovery. We, I think, know the next step, which is going to be using this client one. And then, from what I understand, like the core of the BLE thing are these GAT things. So we're just going to be reading and writing GATs. I assume we'll write maybe to pass arguments. So we would like maybe write the directory that we want to list, and then we would read back to do the actual listing or something. But I don't know. We'll have to look closer than that. Use a basic USB. That would probably help, yeah, because I do have a hub on my desk. So if I had a BLE dongle, then I could put it in the hub and get it much closer up here. Putting food in my belly, grabbing attention. We'll catch y'all later. Take it easy, Bear. Thanks for hanging out. Let me catch up on the chat here, and then I'll head out as well. All right, new Chrome, independent for automated testing. This is at lower level than profile. Google, let's see, Google even monsters ad preference can't be skipped. Yeah, I heard about that. They were talking about launching next week or something for trying to clamp down on the ad blocks. Maybe game over acceptance. Not seen the S3 BLE workflow yet, but I haven't sent it to Bluefruit packets. Oh, I gotcha. Okay, nice. The mobile app. Use basically, yeah, dongle. All right, I'm gonna head out for now. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, as a reminder, next week, no stream, not at the normal time. I'll probably pop on at some point, but I can't commit to a time just yet because it's gonna depend on how the day goes. Again, you can always follow me on Twitch or YouTube. Do the subscribe to notifications or whatever if you want to turn those on, and then you'll get the little ding-a-ling when I go live. I'll try to put it in the Discord like I normally do as well. But I will not be at the normal time next week, 10 a.m. Saturday. We won't be on then, but the following week I should be back in the usual slot, that 10 a.m. Saturday. Thanks to everybody for watching. Hope you all have a nice weekend, nice rest of your day and all that. I will talk to you later. See ya.